Hello everyone, my name is TrinityPact, also known as JJ. So as you know, Destiny 2 is coming out while Warframe Plains of Eidolon is coming soon, in fact somewhere in 2017. And I thought maybe it's a good chance to make a video of Warframe versus Destiny, since this does pull out a good point on to see which game is better. So let's get right into it. So before we look at the differences, let's look at the similarities. So in Destiny, there's a weekly vendor known as Xur, and as you know, Xur only trades with strange coins. Meanwhile, in Warframe, there's this very similar weekly vendor named Barrow Katir, and Barrow Katir you have to trade ducats. Ducats, you have to sell some prime parts in the relay in order to get these currency known as ducats. And then to the second point, both are co-op games and also has PvP aspect, but mostly known for their co-op. So as you know, Destiny has a fire team, meanwhile Warframe has a team. But the only difference is obviously Destiny has a fire team of 3 people, while Warframe has a team of 4 people. But anyways, the next point is both are RNG based and has a loot system. So as you know, both games has, well, obviously you have to try to get those good weapons or parts or something, and in order to get them, you have to do some hard grinding or farming. And obviously, they both has an item in the game that helps you to get better loot. For example, Destiny has 3 of coins and motes of light to help you get good loot. Meanwhile, in Warframe, there's the booster packs, which you have to buy with plats, actually. But moving on to my fourth point is both are going to be open world. Warframe is going to be open world after the Plains of Eidolon, but already Destiny was already open world. But anyways, for my fifth topic is both are going to support all platform. Warframe already supported all platform, but Destiny is gonna support PC very soon. In fact, for Destiny 2, it's gonna be heading on October, apparently. Moving on to my sixth point is in the story of Destiny and Warframe, they both have an annoying AI. That obviously Destiny has the Ghost. Apparently, the Ghost is very annoying and just pretty much useless. Same thing. There's orders in Warframe, or everyone in Warframe just criticize poor orders and just really finds it very annoying. Now let's look at the first topic of difference, which is gameplay and mechanics. So the first point that I want to bring up is mobility and moving around. And when I play Destiny, depending on your class movement, you could either jetpack, glide, or just jump in the air, like triple jump, double jump, etc. Or even roll. But meanwhile, when I play Warframe, I noticed that you could do this all 3 of them, in fact. Warframe, after the implementation of Parkour 2.0, you could glide in the air, you could jump in the air, you could do everything, and pretty much everything that Destiny had. And it feels really epic when you're just gliding through the air, bullet jumping, and like just shooting in a slow motion, and just like and killing your enemies, like if you're in the Matrix, for example. And I really like that, but like meanwhile in Destiny, this part was lacking. Even in Destiny, you're pretty slow, and the only way you could be really fast and travel through the map is having a vehicle. But meanwhile, Warframe, you could be really fast by doing this parkour, and so depending on even some classes, you could be extremely fast and traveling to point A to point B in matters of seconds. So for the first point, I'll have to give it to Warframe. For PvP, however, the parkour 2.0 actually makes things very difficult. And in fact, it makes so difficult because a lot of people just does bullet jumping in the PvP, which is Conclave, making it very hard to hit someone, and in fact just difficult, and some people just finds it not fun anymore. Therefore, in the PvP aspect, it's very lacking, in fact. Even though they implement new maps, new game modes, it's hard. Many Warframe players tries to avoid Conclave. Meanwhile, in Destiny, there's something called Crucible, and in fact, Destiny excels in the PvP standpoint since they have tournaments such as Trials of Osiris and Iron Banner, and this feels just right. Just how it feels easy, and it feels easy. It's balanced, and it's really fast paced, making it really fun. So for the PvP standpoint, Destiny wins. Now moving on to the third point, matchmaking. When it comes to Destiny, matchmaking is hard to find. And the only way, and if you're trying to especially do raids and etc., and even Trials of Osiris, it's hard, and in fact, you cannot even do it on in game. You have to literally go to a website called DestinyLFG.net to look for parties. But meanwhile, Warframe has a system where they have a better matchmaking system, and even like raids and such things, there's a recruitment chat where it's basically solely purposes for raids and etc. for players to find groups that could help out or for certain type of things, type of scenarios. So for matchmaking, Warframe is better. Speaking of chat, let's move on to chat systems. In Warframe, they have a very huge chatting system. They have it well organized, and you could talk for example, for regions, to tradings, to etc. And this is very nice, especially if you're trying to talk to other players online. Obviously, in Destiny, this is not possible. Instead, they'll obviously implement the mic. The mic system obviously excels in Destiny compared to the actual chat system overall. I have to say Warframe. And for my last point, in gameplay mechanics, the mechanics for beginners and the system for beginners. Warframe has a lot of content. For example, there's the modding system, there's the breeding system for if you like pets, for example. But at the same time, when a new beginner just joins the game, they get blasted with it becomes so complex, and this tutorial system is not that great for Warframe. Therefore, as a beginner, it's overwhelming and it becomes discouraging, in fact. But meanwhile, in Destiny, they have a very good tutorial system. They show what to do, and making it easy for beginners to pick up the game and just leveling up and to just go towards the end game materials. Therefore, Destiny beats Warframe and handling the beginners. And for the final point, bosses, in fact. The gameplay in Destiny for bosses is they're all similar. All the bosses happen to be tanky and pretty much a bullet sponge. But meanwhile, Warframe, each bosses are unique. You see, for example, you're facing the jackals in the corpus enemy types. There's the jackals, and then suddenly you face the flying type, which is the raptors. And it has a different unique mechanism to fight the bosses. Meanwhile, Destiny, there's the Archon Priest, and then next thing you notice you're facing the Kel, but truthfully there's no difference between them. Just the only thing that you see is the texture. For the second topic, let's look at story/content. For the first point, let's look at which one has a better story. So, Warframe has a very deep lore inside their story, and also has a very great cinematics, making it very interesting to visual viewers. And also, there are choices in Warframe, and like for example, depending on which choices you get, you get like Viserion, etc. Meanwhile, you can also choose between light and darkness or middle. Meanwhile, in Destiny, it's truthfully it lacks the story. I mean I know Destiny 2 is adding a very unique story and which is very great, and I'm hoping to see, but there's not much proof of how the story goes other than the first 15 minutes. So hopefully they could actually work on that. But anyways, in this case, Warframe wins. Moving on to the second point, it's DLC and updates. So in content wise, we see Destiny uploading a lot of new content, new DLCs, etc. But first of all, every time they're not free and they cost like $20 to $40, which is pretty expensive if you keep paying over time. And it's not like each update is very game changing. I mean, sure, there is like, for example, in the Taken King, for example, we got every time you're on a mission, you get these Takens trying to attack you. And basically, this is like the high level content, and you see these big giant enemies trying to kill you, etc. And also sparrow racing and so on so forth. But in reality, this isn't much compared to Warframe's updates and DLCs. And also Warframes is first of all free, and every time they update and have DLCs, those are free also. And every update is very game changing. Like for example, the War Within brought better cinematic quests and also choices, and depending on those choices, outcomes could be very different. Meanwhile, when the Octavia's Anthem came, you see it brought like you could make your own musics and you could do a lot more other stuff in Octavia's Anthem. And the most recent one, Harrow, the Chains of Harrow brought much more. So therefore, for DLC and updates, I gotta give it to Warframe. For my third topic, it's different mission types. So in Destiny, every mission type is going from A to B, kill this amount of enemies, and defend. While your ghost hacks his way through. This is pretty much lacking and gets pretty boring very fast. Meanwhile, in Warframe, you get different type of mission types. In fact, they always add different mission types. Like, for example, one thing you're doing is sabotage, the next thing you're doing defense, the next thing you're doing is eliminate, the next thing is doing capture, next thing is escort, and so on and so forth. And lastly, the last point is endgame. So for Warframe has Fashion Frame as a part of the endgame material, getting new type of ribbon mods, and when the new update comes out, the Plains of Eidolon, fishing, hunting, and possibly exploring. Especially exploring at night, where the Sentinels will come out. And lastly, the primes, getting prime materials such as primed Warframe, primed weapons, and so on and so forth. While Destiny, the only endgame material is raid and PvP, which even Warframe also has. I mean, Warframe has a huge rating system of 8 people rather than 6, and yeah. So for that last point, for endgame, Warframe has better materials overall. So for my third topic, it's classes and weapons. So the first point is diverse class and ability. In Destiny, there are currently 3 classes: the Hunter, Warlock, and Titan. And along with that, it comes with 3 subclasses for each classes, which is the Night Stalker and so on and so forth. But meanwhile, in Warframe, There are currently 33 Warframe/classes that you could play as, and more to come. And even ability-wise, Destiny has 3 abilities that could be played as: melee, grenade, and ult. But Warframe has 4 abilities that are different from one another. Like even the melee frames, such as Valkyrie and Excalibur. Valkyrie's 4th ability makes her go invulnerable, makes her go berserk, but at the same time, Excalibur 4th ability makes him have this light sword, which he could shoot out multiple of air swipes or whatever. But at the same time, in Destiny 2, it looks like Bungie is finally going the right direction, and having while it's still 3 abilities, it looks like they're completely different, and not like melee, grenade, and ult. It's completely different from one another and unique and very interesting. But at the same time, class-wise, that Destiny would lose against Warframe. Now moving on to my second point, diverse weapons. So, in Destiny, Destiny has different weapons, just same thing like Warframe. However, most of the weapons are just skins on the same weapon, or just looks pretty much different in appearance, but same thing overall. And also, even the same gun, there's different. The only thing that could be different is the perks. But meanwhile, in Warframe, each weapon acts differently and plays out differently. For example, there's a spear-looking weapon known as Javelok in Warframe that could be also used as a rocket launcher, and also when you throw it, it causes an AoE damage to the surrounding when it lands on the ground. And the next second, while you're using this spear-like weapon called Javelok, the next second you just pull out this whip, or pull out the axe, or heavy weapon, or daggers, or whatever. So like and each weapon just is so unique from one another. It's not the same at all. And it brings out a different experience every time you get these new weapons. So, for diverse weapons, I have to give it to Warframe again. Moving on towards my third topic, the modding system. In Warframe, there's something called the modding system, while Destiny has perks. But what this modding system is, you get these cards known as mods, and just like perks, you put it on your weapons. And depending on what mods you put, it could play out very differently. For example, if you put, you just want your shotgun is reload so slow, so you put a reload mod like 60%, and the next thing you know, you're just like reloading like so fast, and there are so many combinations that you could also choose. In fact, speaking of combination, when combined with elemental combination, and the different abilities start to form. For example, if you combine corrosive plus frost, it makes a viral damage, which just shreds the opponents into having half the health that they usually have, making them easy targets making them easier to kill for your teammates. And there's also blast damage. For example, blast damage also, which is a combination of frost and fire, makes an AoE effect around the projectile, making every enemy's knocked down, which is very useful in a cluster situation. So for modding system / perks, I have to give it to Warframe. Moving on to the fourth topic, which is making weapons and the times that it takes to make weapons, and so on and so forth. So in Destiny, the only thing that you truly need to make weapons is the material or just grinding them. But it's very easy to access once you have the materials needed. Meanwhile, in Warframe, to get weapons, you just need to farm those materials out in the wild, and then after that, you have to wait sometimes a day, 12 hours, even 3 days for it to be completed. But meanwhile, Destiny, you just need like some nanomaterials or some materials on Mars, for example, which you could just pick up easily while just doing a fire team while you're playing around in your fire team. And after that, you just have to just upgrade your weapons and so on and so forth. So I'll have to give this to Destiny. For my fifth topic, it's pets and companions. In Destiny, the only thing that's considered like a companion is your AI, and if you want mobility or to be able to travel through the terrain, you need vehicles. There isn't much difference between each vehicles, and truthfully, there are three different vehicle types, they're not much that different when it comes to Warframe, which has many different pets, such as, for example, if you want sentinels and Kubros, Kavats, and much more. There are several, in fact, different types of pets, and each play a different role. The way that the Warframe / the player wants to play out. So for pets and companions, I will give it to Warframe. So yeah, guys, that's part 1 of Destiny vs. Warframe video. I will be making a part 2 very soon. And guys, if I missed out anything, just let me know down below in the comments. And yeah, see you again.